Hello everyone and welcome to today's stream. Today we're joined by 4 Season Award judges and James Bradley, the co-founder of Liftoff Global Network. Rupert is also here, but he'll be on my lap, and I can already see that the chat has quite a few people in there, so if you do have any questions, feel free to pass them over and we'll share that with the judges on the stream. Let's get them on. Hello everyone and welcome to today's stream.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello.
Hello, internet world.
Yeah.
Okay, so who do we have here today? Tim, why don't you kick us off and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about who you are and how you are associated with Liftoff.
Yeah, I can. Hi everyone. My name is Tim Kent. I'm a director and a producer based at Pinewood Film Studios, which is obviously the home of Liftoff, which is why I know Natalie and James so well. I've been a big fan of the festivals that they've run since they've been at Pinewood Studios and an avid follower. And I also run a company called the Actor Studio, which I'm sure many of you have heard of. And I direct and work with actors internationally all over the world. I've been doing that for 20 years. So they've given me the great task of choosing the Best Actor Award for the film. So yeah, that's me. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. And Phil.
Hello, everyone. My name is Philip Barantini. I'm an actor, director, writer, and I'm associated with Liftoff because last year, when we were allowed to go to the ceremony of the awards, I was lucky enough to win Best Director for my short film, Boiling Point. And it was an amazing experience being part of Liftoff from start of the year to the end of the year. We had some incredible, it was just an incredible company to be a part of, and they're really supportive and really amazing. So I'm really privileged to be here today on a screen.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
James, you're next up in my little lineup, so why don't you tell us a little bit more about who you are?
I'm very boring. I'm just one of the co-founders of Liftoff. I'm here to kind of support the judges today as we chat about different bits and bobs. Maybe give it a bit of the festival insight into how we kind of select films, and obviously the judges will give us an insight into how they award films. So this is going to be quite interesting. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. And Tamara.
Hello, my name is Tamara von Werten. Not Fizzy Sherbet, that is my company name. I am a writer with a strong focus on stage and screen as well. And I was very lucky to win with my screenplay, I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, last year. And we had a lovely party at the Pinewood Studios. Yes, and I've been asked to judge Best Screenplay as well as First Time Film today. I don't think there's anything else to add. If you want to check out the podcast, it's Fizzy Sherbet. And that's also new writing, so that's theatre.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing. And Tristan.
Hi, I'm Tristan Shepherd. I'm a filmmaker. I'm associated with Liftoff because they have screened a number of my films over the years. I am judging Best Cinematography and Best Narrative Short, which I am a former winner of. I can't remember the year now, maybe 2016.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here today, and Liftoff have been very supportive to my work over the years.
Nice. Thank you. You mentioned there that you are one of the judges for cinematography and short narrative. And tomorrow you mentioned that you are judging the screenplay and first time category. Tim has been on board for Best Acting and Best Acting Ensemble. And Phil, you took on Best Post-Production and Best Director. So just to recap with everyone who is in the chat room what those films are. Let's start with the Best First Time Filmmakers. So nominated this year we have The Yellow Jacket, Spanish Pigeon, Appetite, Taboo, Antonio, and Leopard. Then in the next category of Best Actor, we have the 2 actors from Oswald, Theo Lepetit and Jesper Meller. Under the World, Michelle Chang. Leopard, Alicia Applebow. Missing, Paul Artund. And Ex-Wife Monograte, Gong Shi. The Best Screenplay nominations are Oswald, Bad People, Ex-Wife Monogatari, Leopard, and Eulogy. Best Post-Production is Proxy, Schwartz, Rise, Black Ocean, Seeing Green, and Talk. Cinematography goes to Zoo, Under the Flag, Missing, McLaren, and Absent. And then Best Acting Ensemble is Zoo, McLaren, Treacle, Oswald, Ex-Wife Monogatari. And then finally, Best Director, we've got McLaren for Marine Sanzi, Oswald, Philip Hedegaard Paulson, Missing, Alexander Hoffman, Sweet Street, Koz Grinop, and Ex-Wife Monogatari, Senghao Zhu. So they are nominations, and from what you heard there's a lot of crossover, so we can delve into these projects and find out a little bit more from each of those perspectives. So, yeah, cool. And I'm just going to check in the chat room to see if there's any questions. No, but if there is, feel free to ask our judges at any point and we'll pass them over. Cool. Okay, so where should we start? Who wants to open the doors in this world? Should we start with what makes a great film? Should we start there?
Very subjective.
I know.
Could I potentially start just with a few thoughts on what Liftoff tries to look for?
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of how we train our internal selectors on how they pick different films and why they pick different films, etc., etc. From our background, myself and Ben Pullman, the co-founder, we both the other co-founder, we both come from an actor's background. Him and I both trained at the Oxford School of Drama many years ago, and we worked in indie film as actors for about sort of I did about 5 years, maybe a little bit more, and Ben did roughly the same. And we noticed a lot on set, in particular the way that directors were being directors and how they were teaching, or not teaching, but how they were directing actors and how they were directing different things. And it all felt like it was doing this. It was missing everything that we were learning at drama school. The directors weren't talking about, and everything that we were being privy to by directors, we were completely shocked by. We couldn't believe that the majority of the directors we were meeting were heavily interested in the equipment more so than the talent, and that the scripts were just kind of byproducts of the fact that the story was the story, and we were trying to kind of go around an area, and like we noticed that things like a shot that was taking like 6 days to get done, if it didn't work, it still ended up in the film because it took 6 days to get done. There were things like that, just little bits and bobs where a lot of the quality was being missed, and not the actual stuff that costs nothing getting done properly. So things like good acting, things like filling a frame with narrative, things like a proper understanding of given circumstances, like an actor or a character walking into a room and knowing where they've come from and understanding that they've come from different places and stuff like that. Just all these different things just really became very apparent to us. And when we started London Liftoff, which was the first festival we began with, we only championed films that had that kind of aspect, where the director had done it right, where the director had directed the actors, where the director had worked out what books to put on the shelf, where to put the picture frame, what to put in the picture frame, just things like that just kind of fill a frame with importance, fill a frame with narrative, and allow us to kind of submerge ourselves into the worlds. That's now something that we definitely take on board. Production quality is always an issue as well, obviously, unfortunately, but that's something that we do look at as well. But number one is the delivery of a character being knowing what they're talking about, understanding where they are in the space, and how that sort of translates into storytelling. What does everybody else think? I'm really keen to know, actually, because this is really cool.
What you just took the words right out of my mouth, James, because the reason, like, I started out as an actor, 20 years ago, and I've been lucky enough to be in some great things, some not so great things, but working with certain directors, and there's, as soon as you get a director that understands you as an actor, it's a whole different ball game when you're on set, because you do get the directors that are very heavily focused on the shots and the way it looks, and and you sort of feel like you come second best. So for me as a director now, that is one of the first things I look at. Like, performance is everything, because for me, if the audience are looking at behind the actors and looking at what that beautiful shot, it looks so beautiful, and they're not engaging with the performances and the actors, then for me you've lost the audience. We just managed to finish the feature of Boiling Point, which was a hell of a challenge during the beginning of the year and then the whole year. But on that, we basically had, because it's all shot in one continuous take, like the short, they were challenges in itself. So we had two options which we went with. Let me just say though, we had to shut it down early because of the lockdown that happened in March. So we only managed to get 2 takes really that were useful. One of them was technically perfect, but the performances were slightly flatter because we did that 1 second. We did two. We did it twice twice a day, and the first one was, the performances were incredible from everybody, but there was a few technical issues here and there, and we could fix them in post, which you don't always want to have to do that, but we did, and for me it was, we had a big argument with the producers and everything. There was a huge thing going on for weeks about which take we're going to use, and at one point they were saying, well, we can use this, the start of this take and the end of this take, and we can splice them together. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But it all came down to performance, and that was what we went with in the end. So yeah, I'm a huge, if I don't believe the actor, then you've lost me completely. That's how I like to watch things as well. So yeah,
I definitely think that cinematography is very much the cherry on top. It's certainly not what defines a good film. Maybe if it has fantastic cinematography and all the other elements, it becomes a masterpiece, perhaps.
Oh yeah.
But cinematography, weirdly, I mean, we all care about it because we're film nerds and all that kind of stuff. But the vast majority of the audience will often kind of miss the cinematography flourishes. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, and I definitely heard Werner Herzog say this, and probably some other filmmakers said it. But if you have a good script and good actors, you barely need a director.
Yeah, can I come in on that as well from the script's perspective? For me, it's kind of like the backbone of the whole thing. Also because my background is in theatre, so for me, I think when I'm watching a film, I'm looking at the story and how the story is being told. Does it grip me? I mean, the best stories, I think, from watching the films we've just watched were stories that made me talk back at the screen and have a real reaction to what they told. And that was really amazing that those stories can do that. Of course, it's also all the other elements that come together, but I think the story or the script, a good script, will make it really easy for the actors to deliver a gripping performance if it's authentic, if it's written so you can really hear it. I also felt that I have a little proviso with that because of course a lot of the films were in translation, but I think that a good script transcends that as well, because it's a story that's being told, and for me what's really important and what's the hardest thing to get right is the ending. So when you're making a film, you should always think about your audience and what you want the audience to go out of the screening room with. And ideally you have changed them in some way. So you've changed either the way that they see the world or the way they feel. Their mood has changed during the watching of that film. And then you've achieved something incredible. And I think a lot of the films that I saw have had that. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you. There's a question in the chat room here for Tim. Ariana asks, what advice would you have for an actor moving from stage to screen? What are some of the key differences you see actors struggling with?
I just missed the last question there, Natalie.
So the last point of that question was, I'll just repeat the whole thing. What advice would you have for an actor moving from stage to screen? And what are some of the key differences you see actors struggling with?
It's a really good question, and it's a question that I get asked all the time by directors and by actors. And I think one of the first things I say to theatre actors is take the audience away, is because you always have that thing that you think, right, I need to be bigger, I need to be louder, because there's 200, 300 people in the audience. And of course, when we've got a camera and we've got a lav mic or a boom right above our head, we can literally just talk very, very normally, and providing we are connected to what we're doing, we need to do little more than that. And I think one of the things that I when I direct and when I teach actors all the time is, I think being a good screen actor is about being able to connect inside your head. I mean, yes, if you want to be a classically trained actor, having a great voice and learning accents and all the rest of it is a part of the journey, but ultimately I see good actors who are good screen actors are actors that connect inside their head. So they can almost tell stories just with their eyes and their face. They don't need dialogue. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about cinematography and cinema is a great actor, you don't need to spoon feed them with dialogue. They can tell the whole story without actually having dialogue. So as an example, rather than my actor walking over to the window and picking up a mobile phone and saying, oh, my world has come to an end, he's left me, what am I going to do, he was my everything, the actor just looks out of the window, and we've got a beautiful bit of cinematography and some lovely sound design and music on it, and that actor just tells the story. And for me, that's kind of really what a good screen actor needs to do. They need to be able to connect inside their head, whereas I think the emphasis with a theatre actor is always you are performing for everybody. So take the audience away. Don't think that you've got an audience in front of you. Just make the actor that you're acting with. That's all you need to concentrate on. It's the crew's job and the director's job to hoover up that wonderful performance, but you don't need to make it any bigger. You just need to have it going on inside your head.
I remember seeing a masterclass with Sidney Pollack at the Berlinale a few years ago, and he said that the film camera was the world's biggest magnifying glass, and if an actor has a thought, you can see it straight away on the camera. I think a lot of actors, especially in indie film, they do make that mistake where they think that they have to play the state of anger, play the state of happy, play the state of whatever, and it's always like exactly what you say, Tim. The most interesting performances are usually the most subtle.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The
great actors, I find, are usually very, very still. And you say there's not a lot going on. There is a lot going on, but a lot's going on inside their head. Maybe not physically. It's just they're connected to it emotionally. It's like when your nearest and dearest walk into a room, you look at them and you say, oh, what's wrong with you? And it's because it's written all over their face. And it's the same with an actor. If you can connect to it emotionally, you don't need to say anything. You've told the story already. Yeah.
I also think, just to add on to that as well, good actors are the best listeners.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Because you can always tell when an actor's waiting for his hairline to come along, and but just listening. I mean, Meisner is the perfect example. I don't know, I studied Meisner technique for 2 years, and it was the best thing I ever did. It's not for everybody, that was just, it really did help me as an actor, but also as a director as well. So yeah, listening is very important, I think, as well.
Do you know what, as well, that I would argue a little bit that actually theatre acting and screen acting are not so far apart as people think. It's really just the size of the performance that you might have to project to hit the back row of the National. But ultimately, that what you're talking about in terms of connecting in your head, you can maybe in a bigger theatre get away with drifting off and thinking about something else, and the people in the back row won't notice. But ultimately, it's all just about connection and listening and reacting. and then just adapting the size of that for whichever medium.
I think the only thing and the only difference is obviously when you're acting for screen is you have to do the performance multiple times. So
Yes.
on theatre, you have a live audience and you get one chance at it. And
Yeah.
what sometimes happens if you're not careful and do what you just said, Tristan, if you don't listen to the other actors, like Phil was saying as well, you lose that spontaneity because you're doing maybe 10, 12, 14 takes of something.
Yeah.
And the spontaneity from take one of watch out, someone's behind you and they're about to stab you. By the time you get to take 14, it's like, what? As opposed to take one when you're like, oh, you know. So
that's true. But then also, like in terms of theatre's take 14 is the rehearsal period. So you might have completely stamped out all of the spontaneity by the time you get on stage because you've been rehearsing for 5 weeks. So it's very hard to then try and recreate something that's being said for the first time. And I think actually something for theatre actors to take away from film acting is that sort of sense when the camera's on you in close up and it being the kind of ultimate lie detector. If you start to think about like what you're having for dinner, immediately it sees that you're no longer connected. And I think you have to take that level of detail from film acting. And if you want to be a really fantastic theatre actor, you have to apply that into theatrical acting as well.
I agree with you, Tristan.
If there's just one other thing
Sorry.
that I can just add, which I always think is so important in film, if you're a film director, is the energies from take to take to take. Because obviously when you're a director and you're going into the edit, what you need are 14 takes with the same energy. Otherwise, when you're in edit, you've got one take where the energy is on the ceiling, and by the time you get to take 6, you've got a totally different energy and it's coming from a totally different part of your body. So when you edit that, the jigsaw just doesn't fit because, either the voice or the energy is up here, and then on take 10, the energy is completely somewhere else. So that's something else I think that you need to really consider as a screen actor, is being able to consistently keep that energy take to take to take.
You were going to add something, Tamara?
Yes, just about theatre acting, and that of course you have to. If you're in a show that runs for several weeks, you have to also work on how to keep that energy up. And there's a great book called Different Every Night, published by Nico & Books, which deals with that, how you can introduce subtle changes so that you can keep that spontaneity up. So that's quite a useful resource.
Great.
Cool.
There is another question in the chat room, so I'll just say this. I think it goes for everyone, so feel free to jump in. What techniques do you use as a director to keep an actor fresh with every take on screen? So we've kind of touched upon this, but if there's any particular techniques that you use, feel free to share. Yeah.
I'll be short and sweet, but I think like Phil was saying and Tristan, it's the actor having the ability to really listen and listen as if it's the first time that they've heard it, whether or not it's take 1 or take 14. It's having that ability to think, right, this is the first time that this actor has said it to me and I'm reacting as if it's the first time.
I think, the process of takes as well is essentially getting what you want. Right, sometimes you get it on take 1, but maybe you don't get it till take 8. So essentially, it's just encouraging and coaxing out through direction and notes exactly what you want from the performance, what you want tonally, because ultimately that I think is what direction is just tone management, and it's keeping everybody in the same tone. I also think it's important. I've come to discover this the hard way. Is that don't give actors 5 notes after one take because they can only remember 1 and they can only play 1. So if you need to give them 5 notes, give them 1. Hopefully they'll cover the other one anyway. But if not, just gently get like the 5 notes out over 5 takes so they can play them one by one. Because it's too much.
Be better. I did a thing where there was an actor in that I was working with, and
all he had to do was look to the left, nod, then look back. That was all he had to do, and he just couldn't get it. And he was doing all like really robotic, like this, and I was like, no, just look over there, just nod, and I was getting a bit frustrated. And he's actually a mate of mine, so in the end, I just said to the crew, I said, just roll the cameras, and I said, look, I just want you to do this, just look over there. And I said, and then I stood over there, and I went, just look at me, nod at me, and he was like, and then look back, and I went, right, got it, let's go, let's move on. And because he wasn't like in his own head about it, we got the take, and it was so natural. So sometimes you just got to, in little moments like that. That's how I like to work. I just, there was moments in it when I secretly filmed Craig Fairbrass when I was doing Villain, the first feature, and we secretly filmed him like eating apples and things like that, and it all made it into the film just because it's, you ask someone to eat an apple on camera, and they're going to eat an apple, like they're going to really eat the apple. Yeah. But you're just watching them eat an apple, and it's like, this is fascinating. So little things like that, when as soon as the cameras start rolling, and the first AD is saying, okay, everyone gets tight and nervous, don't they? So it's for me it's about keeping the actors as relaxed as possible, and making it fun as well for them. You know what I mean? Even in the tense moments and the tense scenes when you've got lots of dialogue, if some actors find it difficult to learn lines, and I certainly did. And it's about making it, breaking it up and not making them feel under pressure, because in my experience when I was younger, I felt inadequate sometimes. Directors would be like, oh, for God's sake, he can't even learn his lines. He's an actor. It's like, I have learned the lines. I do know the lines, but I'm really nervous right now. And, I feel a lot of pressure, and it's really throwing me off. So, it's about making them feel comfortable personally.
This is just
have any of you used games before in that process? So, like in between takes, drama games or anything like that?
No, I haven't. Not games. No, it's not.
No, I might get them to improvise the scene beforehand.
Yeah.
To get the right energy. But one of the things that I was going to say, which I've just sort of taken on board as a director, is I don't like to give actors notes until they've actually done it twice. Because the first time you ask actors to do it, usually like you were saying, Phil, they're a little bit nervous. It's the first time they're doing it on adrenaline. So I usually like to watch an actor do it twice before then I can give them a sort of balanced appraisal of their performance and then give them notes. So, a lot of the time, first time, it's not really the end up product. So I get them to do it twice, but that's just my own style.
And I think also as a director, you need to assess the actor, and because every actor is different, and as actors, very, very sensitive human beings, and so every actor will take a note differently. And so you've got to, what I like to do before we even start shooting, I'm on the phone to them, or, we're literally in conversation the whole time, and I'm trying to figure out how they like to work without saying to them, so how do you like to be directed? You're sort of trying to figure that out together, because at the end of the day, you're going on this journey, and it's a especially the lead who's in every day. You've got to go on this. You're in a relationship with them, so you've got to understand them inside out.
From an actor's point of view as well, always come to the table with something, and there's a really cool technique called actioning. I think it's called actioning, where you put a verb onto the sentence or onto the script, and that just helps bring something to the table, which then you can build upon and change. I always found that works quite well.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a theatre director, but Max Stafford Clark makes his actor, they sit around for 2 weeks and they action every single line in the script before they even start.
Wow.
And then you can be totally specific though. So if it's like, I crush you, you can play that 10 to 15 different ways, so it is great. In fact, I read, and this is a film director or TV director, I just read Jill Soloway's autobiography, and she does that on all of her scripts as well, on her projects.
Cool. Yeah, actioning. It's definitely called actioning, so yeah.
I do it too.
You do it as well.
Yeah, I'm not as famous as Jill Soloy and Max Stafford Clark, so
I do
didn't
it.
use myself as an example.
Yeah, I think it's just a really nice way to have something to offer. And then if the directors also worked with actors using actioning before, it just opens a new dialogue. So, nice.
Actually,
there it is. There it is.
Yeah, I had that at drama school as well.
Yeah, me too.
We actually had got directed by Naomi Jones, who was the assistant to Max Stafford Clark when we were at drama school, and we did every single line, transitive verb, like discombobulate was one of the ones. I was like, okay,
I discombobulate you.
Somebody on this line, okay. I say I love you by discombobulating somebody. You're like, love you. You're like, what? Very weird. This book's amazing. All directors should have this. It's excellent.
Yeah,
really great to be like, okay, to expel someone. I want to expel you on this line. Like, can you say I love you in a way that makes someone feel that they've been expelled? Maybe. Pretty cool.
Right, James, try it.
I'll try it. Okay, I'll try it. I love you. There's a point. I'm pointing.
Now I see why you're running a film festival and not an actor anymore. Huh?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. A little insight there as to why I'm sat here and not anywhere else. Yeah.
Great. Cool. There is another question that has come in the meantime, and it's about how important is it to do a table read-through before filming, or do you just dive in and do rehearsals on the day and then shoot?
I love table read-throughs. I think it's essential, really, because you know, it could be the first time that you're getting the words off the page with the people who are going to be playing those roles. Sometimes when I develop a script that I do table read with, you know, friends and things like that, and just so we can hear it. But then to do it, you know, with the actors, I think it's incredibly important, because then you can start to hear the characters and what they've come to the table with. Again, you know, everyone's super nervous at table reads for some reason. There you go.
Sorry, there was a question in the chat about what the name of the book was.
I just noticed the question.
Oh, right.
What's the name of the book? And I couldn't sit down and type, so I had to just put it up to the screen. Sorry about that, Phil.
That's all right.
That totally took you by the thing.
No, it's
Actions,
good.
the Actus Thesaurus. There we go.
But no,
it's important. I think it's really important to do a table read. But again, actors shouldn't feel pressured at a table read, because I've been at table reads, you know, when there's 50 to 100 people, you know, including all the crew and everything like that around, and you sat there and you're like, okay, my line's coming up, my line's coming up now, and you get really nervous, and then you mess it up, and it's like, you know, I worked with an actor who's incredibly dyslexic, and he hates table reads, but he's a huge actor. You know, he's really well known, and you know, but he gets really nervous at table reads. So, you know, but I think they're very important. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're nice. I think I think if you're gonna have one, have one. But I mean, if this leads into rehearsal for film as well, I think that is debatable. Like, I've been through the process of rehearsing a lot before a film, and through the process of kind of just maybe rehearsing once or twice before we do the first take for the first time ever with the actors. And again, it depends on actors, because actors are so different. But often, maybe on those two experiences, I feel like I got better work from the people who had less time to rehearse, because there was something so alive and kind of spontaneous about the first takes, like you were talking about earlier, Tim, than I did necessarily from working, sort of rehearsing for a good sort of week and a half beforehand.
It's tricky, isn't it? I think when I was doing I feel like as an actor back in the day, I did more table readings than I actually did anything else. I think that was basically my life as an actor was reading at a table constantly. But I did feel like it made me a better sight reader. But at the same time, I think that directors should come with a disclaimer beforehand saying, like, this isn't a rehearsal. This is just to understand the motion of the story, so everyone can kind of get onto the same page, pardon the pun, with where we're at. The director can express their vision. You can talk about you get to meet the actors for the first time. You know, you get to meet the person that's playing your love interest. You get to meet the person that's playing your dad. You get to it can be a nice warm way of sort of discovering the script together. Maybe that's when it's been really good, when it's been like everyone's in this together, let's discover this, let's see what we can get out of it. There's no like, no one's judging you if you can't say a particularly difficult word to say or anything like that. You know, we all saw you in the audition. We all know that you can crack this. This isn't a performance. Just relax and let's see what we can find. Maybe that would be a nice little thing to have at the beginning. I know that's what I've always liked.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to go. I've got to go onto another conference call.
Good, Tristan.
Thank you for joining.
I feel sad that I leave. So interesting. But
okay.
I'll see you all soon.
Take care, mate.
Bye. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, I think going to the table read, it's sometimes you can go in there feeling like it's another audition, and you know, if I mess up here now, they're going to kick me out and recast this part. But yeah, it's not the case. I always like to going back, you know, make people feel at ease, actors feel at ease, because, you know, you've got the job. Don't worry. It's not about a performance. We're not testing your skills as an actor. Yeah. It's just for us to listen to it and to be able to you know, visualize certain things and stuff.
Definitely. I think a really good point, I think, Phil, is like imagine just whenever you're dealing with anyone, if you're dealing with the person that's dealing with the lighting, or you're dealing with the person that's doing the sound or whatever, just imagine that you're in their shoes all the time as the director. Just sort of try and get their perspective, the screenwriter, the editor, everybody, whoever's on set with you. Just try and understand what their priorities are and what their fears are and where they might be feeling. And 9 times out of 10, if you're in the same position as them, you're going to be feeling exactly the same. So it's good to kind of get that into your head, and that will really help, I think, get to that place that you're talking about, Phil, where people can feel relaxed and at ease with the situation. If they know that there's a director that gets them, I think that's half the battle, right?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Like yeah, every single person on that set have got their own anxieties about the shoot. You know, about them performing well. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, there's a thing called, you've probably all heard of, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You know, everyone gets it. Even the biggest producers in Hollywood get imposter syndrome. Yeah. So, you know, don't feel don't worry. It's everyone's in the same boat. You know, nobody's sort of yeah.
I hear Neil Gaiman gets it really bad, and he went to Stephen King at a book launch, and like Stephen King was like, everything all right? And he's like, I just don't feel like I belong. I don't feel like I belong here. And Stephen King was like, mate, just enjoy it. Shut up. Just enjoy it. It's fine. They don't know. Just get on with it. He's like, I feel like a hack. He's like, shut up. Just enjoy it. I think it's great advice. Tamara, I'm interested actually, just quickly, if we want to throw a quick question towards you, if that's all right. Your experience as a screenwriter when dealing with directors, do you feel like there's a relationship that needs to be established with them to try and like get what you want, and for them to also communicate their vision to you? Do you find that's a tricky task, or what's been your experience of that so far?
Actually, it's a bit of a strange story, because the screenplay that won last year was also my first screenplay. So I've been working quite extensively in theatre, and the relationship with the directors I'm working with in theatre is really symbiotic. So we work together for a long time. We question the script. We kind of we do table work for a week sometimes at the beginning of the rehearsal process, where we do facts and questions. So we go through the script and we ascertain all the different facts that come out of the script, and then we ask all the questions that the script opens up. So there's a lot of very close work. For the film script, it was a little bit different because it started in theatre, and then the director sort of took it and filmed it on set. So it was a one location script already. So we didn't actually have that many conversations about the script as such. But usually, I mean, I'm working on 3 different projects at the moment in theatre, and I have been working with all of them for more than a year, with the director really closely, developing the script, and really sort of so that we're both on the same page when we go into the rehearsal room.
So a lot of time working on the relationship, you would say. Yeah, definitely.
There is another question in the chat room regarding about do you think actors need an agent to get work in independent film?
No. No, you don't need an agent. No. You definitely don't need an agent. Agents need you. That's the way that I wish I had that in my head from the very beginning of my career. If you're an actor that's self-starting and self-determined, you'll be able to get yourself on spotlight somehow. You'll be able to find work somehow. You just got to go to as many film festivals as possible. I'm bound to say that because I run a film festival, but it's true. Go to as many film festivals as possible and watch work that you genuinely connect with. If you're watching a film by a director that's based in the same city as you and they're doing something that you absolutely love, tell that director. That director will definitely respond to you in a positive way, and I'm almost positive they'll see you for something if you maintain a connection with them and just say, look, creatively, you are nailing it for me and I want to work for you. I don't care whether I'm the guy in the background, I don't care where I'm the lead, I just want to work. So please, and if you get like 6 or 7 of those creative connections with directors once a year, you're gonna have a career in independent film as an actor. Simple as that. You don't need an agent. You don't need to. You can bypass them, no problem at all. I wish I knew that at the beginning. I wish I'd been more aware of film festivals and how accessible directors actually were, and how much they actually want to be told that their work's wicked. You know?
It's really true, because I get a lot of emails now just from actors, and obviously being an actor myself, it's like, I wish I was told that, you know, these people are approachable. You can email them. They're just people. You know, you can email directors, you can email casting directors. You know, you could. These are just people. So, you know, I get emails from actors saying, you know, here's my show reel. You know, I'd love to work with you in the future. And I always look at them. I always watch them. You know, and if there's something that sparks my interest, I'll always think about it for you know, the future things that I'm doing. But you know, if that person's right for a specific role, then you know, I'll have no problem seeing them if they haven't got an agent. Yeah. For Boiling Point, the feature, I had people that I knew who were actors, and I you know, spoke to them personally and said, I'd like you to come in and read. And you know, I did that with a few people, bypassing. Right. That's the as a director, you've got that power to be able to do that. You know, you don't have to go. I mean, obviously you do go through the casting director, and they do have their process. But I'm sorry about that, the noise, by the way.
I'm glad you justified what it was.
Yeah. You know, I'm able to say, right, I want to see this person as well. So put them on the list for me. You know, can't guarantee anything, but you know, to get in the room and to be able to you know, to perform, that's all you want as an actor, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. That's the chat room all caught up, so that's good. Yeah. So I think the final thought or final question should be: is there anything that you want to share from the films that you saw this year? Were there any particular moments that stood out and you're just like inspired by the films that are nominated this year?
I think, from my point of view, I think it was a really good spread of films. But one thing that did resonate with me, and maybe because I'm a bit older and I've got children, and obviously at the moment there's a lot of doom and gloom going on in the world at the moment. It'd be nice to see some lighter comedy films. I mean, they were all very good films on social, cultural issues, and they were fabulous stories. But obviously, what I found is that you know, I'd have to watch them one at a time, because at the end of them I was so emotionally drained. And obviously, with everything going on with COVID and everything at the moment, I just thought, please let one of them be a comedy, and they weren't. So, you know, if there are filmmakers out there listening at the moment, this is just me, and maybe I'm being selfish here, but I'd love to see some comedy in my life, as opposed.
Would you like to invest in some comedy, Tim?
Possibly, yes, possibly.
Actually, it's quite funny you mentioned that, because
that's another story, that is, James. Yeah.
When we're speaking to the sale agents at the moment, from AFM in particular, they were saying that they're looking for uplifting, family-friendly comedy, and it's the whole reason.
as a family man, and with the world as it is at the moment, and watching the news all the time at the moment, you just think, oh, I need some lightness in my life. And although these were excellent films, don't get me wrong, I did find it kind of like, wow, these are pretty heavy going. So, and I suppose just from my personal opinion, I think that Liftoff came up with some fantastic selection of films. The things that I kind of always sort of say to young film directors that are sort of up and coming, which some of these directors are, is things like pacing. I think when you're making a short film, you often have to condense an awful lot into a short film, and all your friends around you say, oh, well, when are you making the full length film? Or when are we going to see the whole film? Because you've had to cram so much in it. So I think what you've got to be careful of when you make short films is not being overindulgent. And I'm sure it's something that you, Natalie and James, see a lot with short films. I find myself sometimes staying on a shot for far too long, whereas the filmmaker, they thought, oh, that was such a magical shot. Whereas the audience are thinking, right, you told the story. We don't need to stay on this shot of somebody walking through a forest for 15 seconds. Much as cinematically it looks nice, let's move on. And I think certainly from my point of view, when I watch short films, that's kind of one of the things that I do kind of, try and push through is, tell the story and don't be too overindulgent when you make it, which I think, we all do it. I'd be lying if I hadn't done it, but I think, you've got, the thing is you've got to make sure you tell the story and it has a good pace. So watching all those films, that would be one of my general notes. But I think the films that I watched, I thought were all very, very good, in terms of the grade, in terms of the editing. I thought the production value on a lot of the shots were very good. I think the way that they'd used the color palettes to sort of give off certain films, especially Leopard and Oswald, the grade had given it quite an unnervy feel. There was a few films I really saw where they saturated those blues and those yellows in the grade that really gave it that sickly feeling, which we get, which I thought was really, really nice. Missing, which I thought was a very nice film. I thought on that one as well, there was some very, very nice sound design within the film. But generally, I thought the standard of films, given the circumstances, was phenomenal. So really well done to all you filmmakers, and well done for Liftoff for identifying them. So that's kind of my general thoughts on it.
Thank you. Phil, is there anything you'd like to add?
Nothing that I'd like to add. Everything that was said is bang on. The production value for all of these films was just incredible, and the storytelling was fantastic. It was a really difficult job. I'm not going to lie. And for me, it's about being immersed in that moment. Whether it be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. It's about the various like I said before, the characters. I've got to go on this journey with them, whether you hate them or love them or, want to kill them at the end of it, you still have that feeling, and, with each one of those, I did have a feeling at the end of it. And, you don't want to come away from a film, especially short 10-minute film, going, what was that? I didn't, which you do get with a lot of shorts. It's incredibly difficult to make a short film, more difficult than it is to make a feature, in my opinion. But, I thought they were great. Yeah, there was, some of the themes that were explored were really, really clever. And I was lucky enough to see all the post-production nominees, and just wow, the talent is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done to you guys for recognizing those. And I bet it was difficult for me, but I'm sure it was difficult for you guys. But yeah, I can't wait to see the winners. They're all winners. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
To get this far, you've won. You mean that's what I've learned. You are literally, one of five, one of six, or whatever, and it's great. That's what we want as filmmakers.
Yeah.
Want to be recognised.
Awesome, thank you. And Tamara?
Thank you. Yes, I was also really impressed by the overall standard. I kind of agree with Tim in that it was sometimes hard watching films. I think the best screenplay nominations, I just looked through them again and thought, summing up, they all were about death in one way or another, but they all had different takes on it. So some were comedies. Exactly. And others were darker. I really liked the spread with the short films as well. I thought they were really, really unusual and ambitious, and they were all telling different stories, from a succession of dinner dates and in Appetite to a story on immigration, which I thought was really beautifully told, with a really uplifting moment at the end, which I felt really sits so well right now with what the country's going through in terms of Brexit and all that. I also really enjoyed just the sheer range of different topics, from Spanish Pigeon, which was like a gangster film, to Leopard, which was about male violence, and beautifully shot within the laundrette and the female friendship developing. So I thought there were so many moments that really stood out for me, where I thought, wow, really, really great work. So yes, I'm excited to see you all on Friday night to see who the winners are.
Yeah, absolutely. And the ceremony will be taking place at 7 p.m. on Friday. And most of the films that you have mentioned here are taking part in the VOD stream after, and they'll be available for a month on Vimeo On Demand and on the Liftoff website. So everyone who is watching in will be able to see those films that we have been talking about here today. So on that note, there is a final question, and it's actually for you, James.
Okay.
And it says, from Bilal, any chance of opening I'm going to say Copenhagen Liftoff?
Oh, Denmark.
Yeah. Putting you on the spot right there.
There's more of a chance of us opening up an Austin Liftoff than there is of another European one, just because we've got Amsterdam and Paris at the moment.
And Berlin.
And Berlin, exactly. And Austin is thriving at the moment in terms of indie art scene and stuff like that. So there's a potential for us to go there. I know Copenhagen is great, and I would love to have a Liftoff in Scandinavia, but at the moment we don't have enough content from Scandinavia to basically guarantee that we'll be able to afford a theatre there. Basically, that's the bottom line. We need to make sure that we can fill a theatre with filmmakers and their friends and family. If we can't do that straight off the bat, then it's not worth doing it really for us. But
so more Danish submissions. That's
more
the
Danish submissions, exactly. More Danish submissions, more films from Scandinavia on a whole, and that would definitely twist our arm. But yeah, like I say, it's looking more likely to be Austin than anywhere else at the moment, I think.
Cool, great. And on that note, we will see you all on Friday.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie. Nice one. Cheers.